People may not like Donald Trump. You may not like his mannerisms, and sometimes I don't really care for him myself. But what we're seeing here with the whole Russian collusion, and then it was obstruction of justice, and now the testimony by Robert Mueller and all these other people who were up there doing a dog and pony show trying to damage Trump didn't do what people hoped it would do, and there was no collusion, there was no obstruction of justice. Um, Trump ran on draining the swamp and getting to the bottom of the so-called deep state. And really, what he meant by that is um, the corruption, the political favors, the political relationships that distort judgment and cause these agencies to not hold people accountable simply because of their relationship with them. Um, and the Democrats didn't get what they wanted out of the whole Russian collusion conspiracy, which is all it ever was. And now they all of a sudden, really quickly, are moving to the so called Ukraine scandal. And if you actually looked at the transcripts, which Donald Trump didn't have to release, they weren't doctored. He released them immediately when there was any question about them. Um, there was no smoking gun. As a matter of fact, they were pretty underwhelming if you actually read them. There was no promise of anything. There was no, if you do this for me, I'll see that this happens for you. There was no nothing. It was just simply on a whim, typical Donald Trump conversation. I mean, you kind of see it's a genuine conversation. He just simply says, "Oh, by the way, you do me a favor. If you look into this whole Joe Biden thing with his son or whatever." And now Democrats are trying to say, "Well, he said, can you do me a favor?" It's really splitting hairs, and realistically, it's just a figure of speech. There was no benefit for him. Just because Joe Biden happened to be his political opponent doesn't mean that, well, I can't investigate him if he was using his office as vice president to enrich his family, in this case, his son. He knew about it, even though Joe Biden lied about it to start with, and he got really nasty with a Fox News reporter, said he didn't know anything about his son's dealing with the Ukraine, and of course the picture comes out where he's golfing with his son and two people from Ukraine. Then it comes about, oh, we actually did know. You know, why the blatant lying from Joe Biden, and who's going to press him? Why does the media continue to, um, turn a blind eye to anything or any allegation against Democrats, but they keep just beating a dead horse regarding any type of anything Donald Trump supposedly does and blasts it on mainstream networks? Because the fact of the matter is, I think, and it looks to me more like it, and Rudy Giuliani talked about it yesterday, this whole thing has been a diversion. And this whole thing has been, the real goal of it is to cover up what Democrats actually did when the Obama administration was still in office, with the FBI and the CIA and even Hillary Clinton and probably even her husband Bill were involved. And that is to try to undermine President Trump, help defeat him in the election of 2016, which they thought they could do. Even an FBI agent said, he's on, there's testimony of him saying, we're not going to let this happen regarding Donald Trump being elected. And this is something that's really concerning. This is where the real problem is can we even trust our own elected officials? And not even the elected officials, some of the bureaucrats and the unelected officials who are appointed by people who are career politicians and have so much dirt or skeletons in the closet because they've been doing this for years and decades. That's what we really need to be looking into. We need to be looking into Hillary Clinton. Why does she just get a pass? I mean, all the things that she did are serious problems. And if the FBI and the CIA were literally trying to undermine an election, collaborating with Clinton or the Obamas or Eric Holder, whoever it was, that's where the real story is. Democrats are liars. Okay, these people up here are liars. The Russian, that was a circus. The whole Russian collusion was an absolute complete circus. They said Donald Trump obstructed justice. No, the problem that Donald Trump has is he knows that people around him up there, the deep state, the people that he talked about getting rid of, he knows they're trying to work to undermine him. He knows that uh, how can I trust these people to launch a unbiased investigation? What we want to see is what motivated these people to start this so-called investigation. Does it go back to Obama and Biden, Eric Holder? Is Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton involved? I mean, we've already seen what happened with Hillary whenever she was getting in trouble in the summer of 2016. Her husband just, happened to bump into Loretta Lynch out of nowhere. Oh, what do you know? What a complete coincidence here. Well, we were just talking about grandkids and things like that, right? Um, and these are the things we need to look into. This is the real story. They need to be investigated. Barack Obama needs to be investigated. Joe Biden needs to continue to be, his feet held to the fire. Donald Trump he's been investigated for years. This whole Ukraine thing is just another obstacle to actually impede what we really need to be doing at this point. I mean, we've exhausted the whole Donald Trump conspiracies, and one agent even said that Donald Trump was a Russian operative or something like that. Why is that guy not being hit? Where's his accountability? I mean, that's a serious accusation to say about someone. It's one thing just to say what you think, or there could be a possibility, kind of like I'm saying right now about Joe Biden, Obama, and the Clintons. There looks like there could be a possibility. It needs to be investigated. Rudy Giuliani and several others believe that there is enough evidence out there to where we should at least look into it. And Donald Trump is right. He should have looked in with Ukraine into Joe Biden's son. I mean, $50,000 a month, that's a lot of money for somebody who's getting paid to do something he has no skills in, he has no background in. I mean, so was Joe Biden or the Obama team, were they using his office to profit for his son? Was this whole Russian takedown, was it orchestrated to help Hillary Clinton win? Did the CIA and the FBI work with the Obama team and the Clintons to try to undermine Trump, dig up dirt on him with foreign help? This is what we need to now turn our attention to. Don't let the mainstream media puppets, who obviously adhere to Democrats and will do whatever they say to help them or hide out things for them. You need to start demanding that, okay, we need to go in another direction. Donald Trump's been raked across the coals for the last 2.5 years. It's time maybe we take a look into these other people. That's really, I think that's where the actual story, and to me, the suspicion at this point should be leading us.